So Female Wave of Change is a global movement that unites women to change the world for a better place. When we talk about women, we talk about women from all walks of life. We talk about, leaders who want to be responsible for the next generation and for the world. And our ambition is to grow this group of Female Wave of Change into change makers and leaders who can take responsibility into the future of their families, their communities, and the world. We work through humanity, through education, through finance, through health, and through environment. And it's a safe space. It's a platform provided where we share, our values, and where we want to be our authentic self. We have the value of compassion, collaboration, and abundance, and of creating a world where there's equal opportunity and diversity.
Hello, everyone. My name is Roger Shachtura. I'm the founder of Reconnect. Reconnect is a mental strength, wellness, and happiness platform that just launched 2 months ago. And I'd say it's one of the babies of the pandemic. I come from also 17 years of experience in the corporate world with multinationals. And my journey, I would say, is very similar to the ladies that just spoke. We're here as humans who have had our own experiences and want to have impact. We want to influence people in a positive way and make change. So I'm very thankful to be here as well. This group has been fantastic. Foza, Lina, and Coach Mesa, who's our coach at Reconnect. And I've been blessed with their presence and their welcoming and embracing me and everybody else into a female wave of change. So thank you. I'm looking forward to be part of this session.
The floor is yours, and we are keeping time, 10 minutes for you, my dear.
Great. So is Mesa showing my slides?
Yes, if she has.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Female Wave of Change has been a fantastic opportunity for us as a startup in the, I wouldn't say mental health, but we talk about mental strength, but it's an opportunity for us to connect with others and to grow our reach. I also have 2 persons on this call today that have joined, Nandita, who's been doing some amazing content for us, and Shireen, who's also our partner at Reconnect and who's also now being certified with movement therapy. And they've both been amazing to the journey of Reconnect and supporting it. Now, I'll start a bit with why we came to Reconnect. I personally actually suffered for 4 years from mental illness and diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And I think and I was actually placed in psychiatric hospital. And in that place, I experienced, I would say, a lot of malpractices, a lot of lack of empathy. And however, for 4 years, everything I've ever done in my life, everything I worked for, everything I built for 15 years in multinationals just disappeared. And, going out of a psychiatric hospital, nobody wants to employ you. No, your friends walk away. Your family treats you as a patient at home, and you find yourself in isolation. And that could be like the darkest place you could ever be in the world. Now, I came to Dubai 1 week before the COVID lockdown. And by chance, I have a friend in Canada who produced a short documentary on mental health with one of the top psychiatrists in the world called Peter Breggin. And from that film, I understood from one of the best psychiatrists in the world that I could be misdiagnosed. This psychiatrist reaches the conclusion that people can be healed with empathy, love, and human connections. And these are the best ways to recover from anything that you can go through. So I started, that really gave me the internal power to really seek my truth. And I started researching, I started reading, I re-diagnosed myself with psychiatrists, with psychologists, and I understood in the process that I was never bipolar. I understood that I was going through life challenges. I was going through everything that Mesa listed in terms of what causes mental health turbulence. I was that. I was unhealthy. I was putting myself into a lot of pressure. I was negative thoughts, etc. So all of what she listed, it was part of my daily life. Now, when I started my recovery, I started educating myself about mental health and and I started working on myself. And I came across something called the 7 dimensions of wellness, which is a medical theory actually that says if we are to be at the best possible condition in our life, then we need to look at 7 aspects of our life. So, which means me going and sitting at the psychologist's chair for 10 years without doing any improvements on other components of my life, I'm not going anywhere. So mental health is important, talking to the right professionals is important, but also not pursuing who you are and your path and what is important for you in your life. You're going to be stuck in the same place. So I'll take you briefly through the 7 dimensions. So the physical health, and this is how I started to recover. I came a year and a half ago. I was 15 kilos heavier. I would not exercise. My kidneys were failing. My mental state was destroyed. And then there was a pandemic. I couldn't find a job, etc. And the first thing I started to actually do was to move. I started to exercise. My physical health started improving my mental health. When my mental health started improving, this is when I started realizing, you know, maybe there's nothing wrong with me. I went to a psychologist and I started therapy sessions. And thankfully, I got the chance to be with one of the most empathetic therapists I ever met, who put in the time to understand what I went through and to understand that what I went through was normal and that I could be wrong about my self-stigmatization of bipolar disorder, because my self-stigmatization was my biggest enemy. I was fitting myself into that state. And I was just giving myself the excuse not to get off the couch for 24 hours a day. Now, when my emotional health started to improve, I started educating myself. I started to upgrade my skills. I started to want to go back to my career, to do something about my life. I have a daughter as well. So I wanted to survive and I want to give my daughter the best life possible. And then through my intellectual knowledge, I started working. I started doing whatever it is that could help me connect with people, create opportunities. And thankfully, the opportunities started opening. And that started also creating a social life for me. And that social life started connecting me with more and more and more people and creating more opportunities. And then again, it's helped me connect with myself, with my higher self. So that's my spiritual well-being. And then I also started to care about the environment that's around me and what's happening to people and what's happening to the planet. And that's how I found back my humanity and my healing and my self-knowledge and my self-love. And I decided to start Reconnect. But when I started Reconnect and through the process that I went through, I understood that there is also a lot of misconception, a lot of stigmas around mental health. And I really felt that the more you repeat to yourself that you are mentally ill or you have an illness, the more you live it. And through my experience, I was able to transcend a mental illness, which is thought of to be a condition for life and that is genetically inherited. And I was able to transcend it into a state of mental strength. And you know, this is not what you see in front of you is how do we achieve mental strength? It's not something that I wrote, but it's something that is common knowledge. And this is the best methodology of transcending from a state of depression, bipolar disorder, ADHD, whatever it is that you go through. If you integrate these 10 steps into your life, it's bound to help you transcend everything or anything that you go through. The first point is refrain from negative thoughts. It's all in our mind. The fact that I was self-stigmatizing was my biggest destroyer. The moment I started to say, there's nothing wrong with me, it's just my past, it's just what happened, and it's not a condition to my future potential. This is when I started being able to transcend into a positive state of being. Create goals. I started, like, for the first time at 38 years old. I never had goals in my life. I set 5 goals for myself. I started reading them every morning at 5 a.m. And every day I would take an action towards each and every one of them. Now I don't have to look at them. They become me. I've become my goals that I set myself a year ago, and I live them every day. Set yourself for success. Success is never a short-term approach. Most people are failing because they get discouraged at the first failure. All success stories in the world come out of failure. If we are to learn anything from Bill Gates, from any successful person in the world, you will know that they failed once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and 10 times before they came who they are. And if you set yourself for your success, you will learn that whatever you fail at is actually just a lesson for you to succeed. And look at always the bigger picture. Do at least one difficult thing each day. In the last week or 2 weeks, I spent a night in a police station, a night at the beach, a night at the pool. I don't have my passport. and these are difficult things. Sometimes it's also disconnecting, like Maisa said. Saying no is the most difficult thing that we don't know how to do. We need to protect our mental health. We need to protect ourselves. And sometimes we need to say no, even to the closest of people. Tolerate discomfort for a greater purpose. At Reconnect now, we literally have no funding. We work with nothing. And this is our biggest, I would say, blessing, because the fact that we are in a state of discomfort means that every day we are looking at solutions. We are connecting with others and co-creating solutions to our status quo because we believe in the power of what we do. Balance your emotions with logic. I mean, the worst thing that anyone can do is just act based on emotion. Always take a step back from your emotional state, whether it's positive or negative. Some people take rash decisions because they're too happy, and then they do something just out of that state of rush that they regret the next day. And the same thing, sometimes you're in negative emotion, and that negative emotion, you act on it on the spot, and then it spirals into more negative situations. Fulfill your purpose, and I think this is what most of us are not good at. We are very good at putting mental blocks to what we want to be and who we want to be in our life. And this bans us and stops us from being who we want to be. Understanding our purpose is the most essential thing. Any program of entrepreneurship, design thinking, success in the corporate world tells you, know your purpose. Why are you doing what you do, and how do you contribute to the world? And look for explanations, not excuses. It's easy for us to say, I don't have time, I don't have energy, I don't have, etc. That's the easiest thing you could do, but it's always easier to try to find it's always more fulfilling to actually look for the explanation. And use the 10-minute rule. The 10-minute rule tells you that you could learn anything if you give it 10 minutes of your time. It's also another mental block that you can say, I don't know how to paint, I don't know how to create a marketing campaign, I don't know. It takes 10 minutes of your time to learn any skill you want to learn, at least the basics of it. And the last but not least is prove yourself wrong or unblock limiting beliefs. If you say, I'm too tired, I don't have time, prove yourself wrong by giving it time. So I would say this is how we can transcend our challenging mental states and move into a more positive, mentally strong state. Maisa, if you don't mind, if we can move to the next slide. Okay, so through what I went through and through what a lot of people are suffering from, Maisa comes from a place of suffering. Lena has gone through her journey. Foza has gone through her journey. And what this taught us all is that we need to not only look after ourselves, but to look after others. At Reconnect, our vision is to heal people in the Middle East in particular, because there's a lot of stigmas around mental health and there's lack of awareness. Across the 7 dimensions, we're a partnership-driven platform. So I'm not a mental health expert, but we deal with mental health experts, we deal with physical health experts, environmentalists, nutritionists, etc. So we created a community and a network, and that network now we are using to start a series of mental strength centers, and the first of their kind because they don't even exist in the world. And the purpose of these centers is to actually enable, especially children and youth, to be at their best human capabilities by teaching them entrepreneurship, by finding their purpose and helping them achieve their purpose. We deal with NGOs in Switzerland. We deal with programs in the UK, in the UAE, etc., to enable these centers. And we are choosing locations where people don't have access to mental health services or to even jobs. So the first center we are working on is in my country, Lebanon, and actually in the poorest city, which is Tripoli, because kids are on the streets, kids are doing drugs at the age of 10, and kids are actually have no way of survival. So, and I always like to, this is my last slide, and I would always like to end it. Why I am here, because I want that super powerful and amazing group called Female Wave of Change to be part of the change that we want to see in the world. We see an alignment of vision. We want to all make impact. So I always put the question is, how can we work together? And anybody who's in this session, if you feel you can contribute through your knowledge, through your experience, please do get in touch with us, because we are all about creating connections that can flourish into support for the community and support for others. And also, if you are in touch or you are part of NGOs that are focused around youth and children, then please, we'd be more than happy to collaborate wherever you are in the world. Thank you.